All right, I want to read a section of Peter Camille's pre-sentencing report where he's offering argument that Schaefer Cox should be given a lighter sentence. And it has to do with Bill Fulton, who's a government informant. Bill Fulton put a knife to Les Zerbe's throat and threatened to kill him. And he also threatened to kill Schaefer Cox and his family if Schaefer Cox did not commit violent acts against the government. And I thought Peter Camille summed it up pretty good here. It says, Schaefer Cox's fear of Bill Fulton. Schaefer Cox testified that he was in fear of Bill Fulton because of Fulton's threats and that many of his actions were made in response to this fear. The government dismissed this claim as a fabrication. Mr. Cox believed that Fulton expected Cox to carry through with engaging in a plan of violent action against government officials, and that if he did not, Mr. Fulton would come after Mr. Cox. Mr. Cox's fear of Fulton was not without objective basis. The fact that Fulton, acting as a government informant, would engage in not just verbal threats to kill, but in the display of a knife and making gestures to kill under the pretext that he was enraged that Mr. Cox and his fellow militia members did not have a plan to carry out violent acts against judges is as close to outrageous government conduct as is imaginable. It is one thing to have an informant sit back and listen to gather information, and another to have an informant use coercive tactics and threatening gestures to try to entice lawlessness. The court heard the graphic testimony of Michael Anderson regarding Fulton's behavior when Fulton was told that Mr. Cox had no plan to engage the authorities in violent acts during the pendency of the state child custody case. In fact, after the Blondie's encounter, Mr. Cox never again met with Mr. Fulton in person. Anderson described Fulton. I found him to be extremely gruff, a fat drunkard, rude, and extremely violent. Mr. Cox's only plan was to file more paperwork with the court, but Fulton wanted violence. Hey, Bill Fulton, I consider you just a sorry piece of crap. And justice is coming. God's justice is coming to all of us. And what you've done in participating in sending an innocent man to prison for 26 years and separating a father from his two children, you may think you've got away with it, but you haven't gotten away with it. God sees everything that we do, and God's justice comes to every human being on earth.